Knock, knock.
Hey.
Hello. Is this the light? Do we want to keep it late? No, it's... Hi. Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
We've been wanting to do this since, like, the beginning, and we only got to it now.
Yeah.
You want to take a walk in the park?
Well, I love sitting. I'm a good fan of sitting. But, all right.
Go for walk. All right. Okay. So now, you've been a teacher for how long?
Well, at this school since '95. We started in '93 at Pierrefonds. Started lifeguarding in 1982. I like to think that I was teaching in 1982.
Since 1982, you must have heard some stupid questions asked.
I don't believe in stupid questions, actually.
Okay.
I do believe in stupid people. And I actually don't believe in stupid people. I just believe they exist en masse. And I think that's why we got into teaching. I say we, I think the like-minded teachers got into teaching because we thought in some way that maybe we could help those stupid people see things differently. By implication, that means that we think we're smarter, and that confused me because I was a pretty stupid kid.
There are people who know things and they can, you know, become professors by knowing lots of things, but they can't teach by making sure the students understand what they're learning, but also teach about life and teach experiences, and that's something that's important to you.
Well, I think I want a lot of teachers, I think, get into teaching for what I would say are the right and wrong reasons, which is what I do. I tend to have no definitive answer to anything, but they get into it because, well, they wanted to study. They were doing well in school, and they enjoyed their classes. The teachers that they had motivated them and got them interested in whatever, and so they went, and they studied it like crazy. And then, you know, they were planning on being an astronaut, but that didn't quite work out, so if they can't be an astronaut, well, I'll teach it. So they become teachers for that, and they love their subject. And they come in, and they're all keen and everything, but the students don't love the subject yet, necessarily, and that's where they struggle. And those are the teachers I find to have a really hard time.
You have to have the right balance of passion, but understanding whom you're teaching, understanding your audience. You have to know your audience.
The thing that I take the most pride in, probably, or the thing that's helped me the most in teaching is trying not to be a hypocrite. And the hypocrisy of everything is tricky.
I remember a particular moment when the whole school was invited to go watch a hockey game. To me, that didn't translate as, because I hate sports, but it didn't translate as you have to go watch it. It translated as you're going to show your support. This is school spirit. You're a team.
Yeah.
But teachers had the right to choose whether they wanted to send the students to this school spirit hockey game or keep them in class. This was maybe 2 days before the Christmas vacation, and it frustrated me so much that there are sometimes teachers who take their, I guess we can use the term craft, more seriously than the big picture.
I love the way you said that, because I think some teachers and some people would like to say the craft, but really, I think what we're talking about there is they're believing that their subject, their academic subject particularly, that far outweighs any potential good in sitting in an auditorium watching a hockey game. You can do that any goddamn night. And those people, in my opinion, they've misunderstood what I think the craft is. The craft of teaching is being able specifically, in my opinion, to be able to see a lesson in everything. That's the game. You know, that's what we're writing an article about. Doing that about, doing this. There should be a point. There's a point to walking in the park.
There's a meaning to life.
I don't even know, 42. You can put two schools of thought. One is that this is what we're supposed to do, and these are the subjects we're supposed to teach, and this is how you should teach it. These are the rows, these are the numbers. Don't get involved. If you get too involved in a kid's life, they'll be distracted from the focus, the task, which is to succeed, which means a good mark. Or there's other people who say, like my opinion is, let's just get through this really kind of crazy phase of our lives unscathed with semi-good memories of being able to be in a room that didn't freak me out.
Yeah.
And to me, going to a hockey game with a group of people, whether I care about the score or not, feels good.
You wrote in your questionnaire that death sometimes would keep you up at night. How deep does that go?
I'm 52. And when I've had 5 good friends die, all of which are good friends in my life. And I just, on March 22nd, we lost Emil, my father-in-law. And I think as you get older, it's more than a tragically hip song. The inevitability of death kind of hits you. And it becomes really tricky. Now, my mom was always wonderful at talking and sharing. The things she used to speak about a lot was death. And I was very, I don't know if the word is comfortable or prepared. Aware of the concept. But I think it is I'm not a big fan of being afraid of things, you know. So when I asked what keeps me up at life, what keeps me up at night, I think fear, period, is what keeps us up at night. You know, or anxiety because we got too much work to do. But inevitably, it's something to do with fear, and I think one of the biggest problems we have in this world is we always want to have an answer for something. Everybody wants to have an answer. And there's no answer for death. So every now and then, that kind of wakes you up. However, that being said, I don't stay awake for very long. You know, like what keeps me up at night? I'm a good sleeper. I'm able to kind of say, okay, that's just the truth. And now we're going to go over there. And I think that's, in a way, comforting. And I like to believe that there's something out there. I think there are too many coincidences, too many freaky things that have happened in this world that lead me to believe that. And it gives me peace, and it actually helps me sleep.
It's been a month since April Fool's. And one thing I noticed on the internet was a lot of people saying, don't joke about being pregnant. It's not an April Fool's joke. And normally when people tell people what and what not to post on the internet, I'm kind of like, you know, F off. But this is a little different. Because there are people that have a hard time conceiving. Yeah.
Well, we did. As my wife and I, we decided, my wife and I decided, we moved into our house in 2000. We decided, we've been together since 1989. And we decided we'll go have kids. From 2000 on, we found out after about a year and a half that it wasn't, you know, other people were farting and having children, and it wasn't working out for us as well. We were in denial for a long time. Let's try it the natural way. And then we went through the full science of it, and on basically around February of 2008, we conceived our daughter after she was number 9, after 9 attempts at having a child in that way. That means 8 potential children that you would have don't make it, and then there's a lot of sadness and frustration that goes in there. What do I feel about the people joking? Nothing, no problem. You know, I hope that it works out for them. I don't, you know, if they think it's funny, like we do a lot about racism and do a lot about sexism and misogyny and
tolerance
and any tolerance period, and any ism you want to slap at. You know, often I ask people, I say, okay, what's so funny about that joke? So how I would handle someone who said, well, I'm pregnant, I might go to them and say, well, why is that funny, do you think? You know? But most people don't need, like, nobody wants to get into this conversation.
Yeah.
I can talk about it now because I'm lucky. Like, we're lucky. My Chloe is everything to us, and I wouldn't take any of the experiences away because we have her, and we're okay, and we're great, in fact.
All right, so a new thing that we're doing on season 2, and hopefully further on, is that we're creating panels so we can add to the discussion. We'll always have a third party, and Conor Tomalty is our honorary first guest for this. You are the guinea pig, so we'll see how that goes. I want to go to you now for a question. You just finished a play for the school.
It was called The Breakfast Club, and I did not direct it, but I adapted it.
Okay,
I wrote it.
You adapt. So it delves into the backstories of some of the characters, which does involve domestic abuse. There's some alcoholism, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, how do you propose that to administration? How do you go up to them and just go, listen, here's the play, and there will be negative reactions to it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we get incredible support from the administrators. And I went. We have to go to them in advance. And really, what our principal wanted, she said, just make sure it has a happy ending, you know. And we got approval from the principal immediately. She knew it, but she said, "Be careful," yeah. But there was a huge fallout in terms of people being frightened.
Yeah.
Of the reaction of people, that it was going to be too real for too many.
There was plays that I remember being in grade 8, we weren't allowed to see. Front was it, I believe.
Front was it. So that's what I want to get into. At what point do we consider it censorship versus I just don't want my child to know about it because you don't believe that they're mature?
That was the issue that I didn't see. When, like with Teep, when I was writing the play at the beginning, I was only focused on writing a good play. I wasn't focused on the kids and the actors and how to manipulate.
You focused on the art.
I was focusing on the art. That's exactly it. So when we're saying we're doing this for school, what right do I have to force a bunch of students who have no choice? They have to go. I'm in grade 7, therefore I must go see the play. What right do we have to force them to see something that might be confronting some demons that they're not ready to you know, people pay a lot of money for, and rightfully so, for therapy. There are many people suffering in countless ways that are real. Whether we, and this is what we know more and more, particularly about mental illness and people that suffer in countless ways, suffer through adolescence for whatever reason, because of their dysfunctional family, because of the dysfunction around them. That's the administrator's job. They've got to say, we can't force these people to do this. Whether it's a good idea, way to go, good job, but we can't force. They have to. The choice has to be theirs. So that's what happened this year. In Breakfast Club, grade 7s were not allowed, based on the opinion of and respectfully, a lot of teachers and staff and administrators said that a lot of kids in the school were not
comfortable.
Well, no, they were living it.
Okay.
Alcoholism, abuse, whatever. Yeah. These things can't be tread on lightly. If we're going to go to these heavy issues, we have to expect that there will be some.
No, of course, especially when you create art with meaning.
There are instances, as an actor, one thing I've learned about is becoming into a character and talking and portraying a role that you've gone through. For example, if I were to play somebody, let's say from my past, I had been somebody who had been in an abusive relationship, and it's behind me, but I'm portraying a character, and he's been in an abusive relationship. If I'm still going through something like that, if I haven't fully dealt with it, if I'm not ready to, then by all means do not put me in that situation. And that's what that person was probably doing. However, if it's something you've dealt with, then I highly recommend that you talk about it.
If context is king, then conversation is queen.
High school plays, I don't know. High school, there's a lot of things. I went through things in high school. Many kids go through in high school. You should talk about certain things with kids in high school, and it should be anxiety, depression, or 2 of the mental illness. It's 1 in 3 people. There's a reason we have theater. We have theater because of life. You can have life without theater. You can't have theater without life.
Life is art.
Life is art. And because of this, it's not, the censorship falls into not whether or not you say or talk about a subject, it's how you talk about the subject. It's the topic of doing blackface just to perform as an art. And London, they recently talked about a black character putting on whiteface. But what this theater did, and I personally commend them for it, was they reached out and they said, we're doing this because we want to talk about it. It was a black actor putting on blackface representing a white actor. There was a very huge debate about it. Some people said yes, some people said no.
But if you leave it up to the people, I feel like, especially in our era now, a lot of people are going to just say no without actually thinking about the potential to educate.
Well, that leads us back to the first question you asked about stupid people. You know what I mean? Like, if we come around to that, I said the stupid people ignore. And I think the way we all have to do is we have to own our humanity, own who we are. You can't act until you know who you are. Mm-hmm. You can't do much. You can't love yourself. You can't fall in love. You can't do anything until you know who you are. And that's the game. So, why do I teach? What do I teach? What have I wanted to teach? Life. Because that's the most important subject, probably.
Thank you for being on, Huntley Addie. Conor Tomalty will be back next week. A walk in the park.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was cool. Thank you.